Hey everyone, good afternoon. Bear with me, brand new camera. It's actually mounted up on my head, so as I move my head, things might happen. Apologies, I'll try and get adjusted to this, or I'll flip over to a tripod setup or something. Anyway, I had a couple questions about Whitworth wrenches on my Facebook page, and so I wanted to shoot a quick video to kind of explain the difference, what they are, and give you guys an idea of where they differ from SAE wrenches. So I've got two wrenches here. This on my right is a 1/4 inch Whitworth wrench. Hopefully, after I make everybody seasick, can see it is marked 1/4 W for Whitworth. And this guy here is a standard SAE 7/16 wrench, and I'm not going to try and zoom in on it. You can take my word for it. I wouldn't lie to you. The difference between SAE and Whitworth is, first of all, Whitworth were used up into the 1950s. Officially, BSW, British Standard Whitworth, is the nomenclature for them, and they were used on a lot of British cars and motorcycles up until, like I said, the 1950s or so. My 1952 Singer happens to have Whitworth hardware on it, so I had to get a set of Whitworth wrenches. The Whitworth wrenches are measured and annotated by the diameter of the shank of the bolt. So whereas American or SAE wrench hardware is done by the diameter of the head of the bolt, so in this case 7/16. So this is 7/16 of an inch across. The Whitworth, even though it says it's 1/4 inch, that refers to the shank of the bolt being a 1/4 inch in diameter. So if you take a caliper and you put your caliper on there, you can see it's pretty close to 1/4 inch. I don't have it exactly on there, but whereas if you take a standard 7/16, and you can see it's actually under an actual 1/4 inch on the shank. So a 7/16 American wrench or SAE wrench is actually smaller than a 1/4 inch Whitworth wrench, and they don't cross over. So for my 1/4 inch Whitworth, I've got a nut and a bolt here. You can see the 1/4 inch Whitworth fits perfectly in there. Might be easier to see on the closed end. Fits right in there, nice and easy. I don't even have a 1/4 inch SAE wrench handy, but the 7/16 wrench you can see is too small, even though 7/16 bigger than 1/4 inch. 1/2 inch is just a hair too small, SAE 1/2 inch, and then the next size up, which would be 9/16 in SAE, is just too big. So that's the difference between an SAE nut and bolt, such as this, and a Whitworth, or British Standard Whitworth, such as this. The thread pitch on the shank of the bolt is also different. So even if you had two nuts that were the same diameter, and one was SAE and one was Whitworth, they still would not fit on there because it's like coarse thread and fine thread, or metric thread and SAE thread. So probably not something most of you will ever have to deal with, unless you're really into old British motorcycles or older British cars, 1950s and earlier vintage. But if you are, these guys are still available. They're expensive compared to just a cheap set of SAE wrenches from Horrible Freight or someplace. I had to order these. They were actually shipped to me from England. Now that the tariff situation is kind of straightened out, I was able to get them without paying, 300% markup on them. So that's it for right now for this video. We'll get back to the carburetor shortly. I'm going to try and finish that up today as well, video-wise, and then we'll get it hooked back up to the car. But there you go. That's the difference between SAE and Whitworth, and I didn't even bother throwing metric into there because that's a whole third set of standards. So great. Hope that answers your questions. If you have any questions that I didn't answer,